Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, my friends. My name is Dieter Insurer, and I'm the owner of the Artelino Company. What's the Artelino Company? Small family company located in Bavaria. You know, Bavaria, Munich, Oktoberfest. But we are in a rural area near the Japanese Alps, and we've offered and sold art prints, mainly Japanese art prints, but also modern art prints in weekly online auctions, exclusively online. We have no gallery since 2001. 2001, imagine. Well, we're already 20 years old. And today's video is not about a Japanese artist. It's about a UK artist, United Kingdom. However, with a Japanese touch, and you will see. Today's video is about Laura Boswell. Today I have the honor of announcing one of the best-known UK printmakers. Laura Boswell, she works in what is today called mokuhanga. Mokuhanga is the Japanese word for woodblock, and it identifies the technique. Well, mokuhanga artists, a worldwide art movement today, and they work in this traditional Japanese woodblock printmaking technique. And the second technique in which Laura Boswell works is lino cuts. And you will see afterwards when I show you her prints, you can hardly recognize, is it a woodblock or is it a lino cut? Because the technique that Laura Boswell applies to her lino cuts is on such a high level, and this is something that she learned in Japan. But one by one, let's go back. Let's start with her education. Well, she has a degree in art history and visual arts from the University of Wales. And after her graduation, or a little bit later, don't know that so precise. Well, she went to Japan overall 3 times for residences, where she learned from great masters the Japanese way, traditional Japanese way of printmaking. And the results, my friends, mesmerizing landscape prints from the Scottish Highlands to the coasts of southern England with a visible, lovely Japanese touch. Have some patience, you will see. In 2019, Laura Boswell published her experience with Japanese printmaking in a book titled Making Japanese Woodblock Prints. And currently, we are in the year 2021, she's preparing another book, and I think it's close to be published within a few weeks. Something like Making Lino Cuts, the Japanese way, or the Laura Boswell way, or just making lino cuts. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, she's preparing another book about printmaking, and this time about lino cuts. It's time now, after so much talking, to show you the art prints by Laura. So let's start with the first one. And of course, my friends, what I forgot to tell you, we have the honor of presenting Laura Boswell in our auctions. Well, I dared to approach her a few months ago, and I feel very honored. She said yes, and she made a consignment of her lovely prints, which we will offer in our auctions, in our weekly auctions. Well, this is the first one, and this is a woodblock with mixed media. You see, it has some of the Japanese features, like, for instance, here the use of key block lines to show the texture of these rocks. Well, another one. And this is now a lino cat, my friends. This is a lino cat, yeah. There's one characteristic that Laura certainly learned from Japanese printmakers, especially Ando Hiroshige. It's the use of a rather daring perspective. It's also the courage to even show, to leave some areas unprinted in white. Next one, a lovely landscape print. And this is also a lino cut. It's hard to believe. Normally lino cuts are rather flat. And this is now something that is the merits of Laura Boswell. Well, she learned Japanese woodblock printmaking. And a very specific feature of Japanese woodblock prints is the use of gradation, called bokashi in Japanese. And what Laura Boswell did, she applies gradation, bokashi, to lino cuts, which before, correct me if I'm wrong, was not really the habit. And what's the effect of bokashi gradation? It creates a more three-dimensional look. Yeah, it makes such an image more lively, and it allows to experiment with the effects of lights. Something typical for Shinhanga artists, Japanese Shinhanga artists, or the French Impressionists. Next print by her, and yeah, wow, yeah. There is also, look. This shows a scene with rain. And how do the Japanese printmakers in the 19th century and first half of the 20th century, how do they show rain? By making carving these lines, these small, fine lines, yeah? You take a look, it's nearly an abstract image. Nevertheless, you immediately recognize, hey, this is a rainy day. Next one. This is now a woodblock. This is a classical moku hanga. I think it's rather large, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, next one. And here again we have a lino cut, lovely landscape. And there you see use of gradation, and it creates another feeling, it creates an impression. Or here, a little bit similar. A little bit of a trick that, in my view, Laura Boswell also learned from the Japanese printmakers. Laura Boswell, she never shows persons in her images or any man-made objects. Yeah, take a look at Shinhanga prints, which create these wonderful impressions. You also, when you have a typical landscape print, Hasui made the trick. He shows sometimes one lonely person or two lonely persons. By using persons in an image, you can create impressions. Yeah, when you show a crowded scene, it's a completely different impressions. And when you show a landscape and no people at all, you take the viewer into a different world. Yeah, I mean, now look, if you saw there a cable car, it would be completely different. But like this, yeah, you think you're in a different world, and you can dream, my friend. Next one. This again, now a classical woodblock print, using this also classical form of a triptych. Well, a few examples of the prints consigned by Laura Boswell to our auctions. You can see them and buy them in the current auction and in coming auctions. But I'm not yet finished quite. There's one more thing about Laura Boswell's art that I want to mention, what I can recognize in her art. This is something typical for Japanese people. It is the striving for perfection. And Laura Boswell, in my view, she learned that apparently in Japan. She has the same striving for perfection. And, well, that's certainly one of the reasons why she's today one of the leading UK printmakers. And now I want to talk a little bit about honors. Of course, the honor, my honor that, well, I'm capable now of offering her prints. No, I don't mean that. Honors for Laura Boswell in the United Kingdom. Well, she is an elected member of the Royal Society of Painter Printmakers. And her prints, they are in the House of Lords, my friends, in the House of Lords. And they are in the Buckinghamshire County Museum. Now, I have to admit, I haven't been there yet, don't know it. But they are also in the National Library of Wales. And their prints are also in several public collections in Japan. Well, we've come to the end. Thanks for watching. And as I just said, well, these wonderful prints available in the Artelino art auctions. Today is November 6th, and tomorrow a new auction will start. And there, for the first time, I think we will offer 2 or 3 of those. This is just a small selection, or others that I haven't shown yet. But you will be available, you will be capable of buying these prints tomorrow, Sunday, starting at 8 p.m. local Central European time. And please give Laura Boswell a friendly, warm welcome. And what do I mean by a friendly welcome? Buying, of course, nothing else, yeah? Just a few likes. You cannot pay your rent with likes, that's impossible. So bid in our auctions, it's a lot of fun. And buy Laura Boswell, she's wonderful. Goodbye, take care of yourself and have a good week.